today's video, guys, I'm going to be doing some Q&A for some of my followers who've been asking me some really good questions. So I have them over here. I'm going to pull this up in a second. And we're going to have some fun today because there's a lot of great questions being asked. And I know there's a lot of you guys that are having the same types of questions. So we got to get you some answers. So we're going to do that in a second. All right. So the first question comes from Andrew from YouTube. And he's asking, what is the one thing that allowed me to scale my business significantly? And so it is a really good question. So there's a few things here that I did that worked really, really well for me. All right. And so one of the things is really getting serious about scaling in the first place, asking myself, am I going to be what it takes to get this business from, at the time it was about 15 or maybe 12,000 a month in revenue, maybe even less than that. But am I willing to do what I need to do to get it to 50, 60 and 80,000, 100,000 a month in revenue? And I'm not saying that that's consistent across the board every year, but up to those levels, right? I can tell you this, when I said yes to that question, everything changed, okay? And I got super serious about what I needed to do to scale. So the first thing I needed to do was this. I needed to understand, okay, now that I've made that commitment, what do I need to do? Okay. And the first thing I needed to do was build out the processes and systems that my team was going to have to use in order to make things fluid. Right. And so what I did was I hired, like behind the weeds over here. What I did was I hired somebody to walk me through the process of what it's like to build out processes and systems. And one of the coolest things he told me to do was this. He said, Henry, you know what you need. You know how to do things, throughout your business, how to set up an invoice, how to send out an email, how to do this, how to do that. But your team doesn't. So what I would have you do is take some screen recording software, whether it's Zoom or Camtasia or whatever you want to use, and start recording yourself going through each task, right? And then sending that to a Dropbox file. So you start to create this library of instruction manual videos, right? And what I did was I started to do a whole bunch of those. So now I had systems to how to onboard a new client, how to send a design revision, how to send an initial proof, what happens after 3 rounds of revisions. So I recorded all those videos, and then I hired my first project manager. My project manager was awesome, and I still have her to this day. It's going on 4 years. And this project manager now takes those training videos, and every time we onboard a new team member, they have to watch those videos, okay? And then that is how I was able to scale. Now, I was able to do this in a very systematic way because I was organized. I was super organized, and I didn't try to micromanage the team once they came on board. And that is a huge issue that I see with entrepreneurs is they try to micromanage the team. And that is the quickest way to fail. So I don't want to see you guys hire a team and then try to manage them like that you have a gun to their head. Like nobody is going to want to work for you, number one. And number two, you might as well do it yourself at that point. So a couple of things you need to do is you need to understand patience and you need to invest in your team. Okay. So when they make a mistake, don't throw an axe at their head. Okay. Ask them, what happened here? What happened? So I have an idea of where you're coming from and what we need to do to help you fix it. Okay. So you want to be comforting. You know, a lot of things that I learned inside of my master's degree program was how to work with people, how to work with teams, how to work with staff. Because if you don't know how to communicate to your staff, your team is going to crumble, and you'll never be able to scale. You'll never be able to be productive. So patience, organization, committing up front that this is what I want to do, and I will do whatever it takes to do it. That is what helped me scale exponentially. And then hiring the right people. So I hire specialists. I don't hire generalists. I don't hire a graphic designer that's going to do landing pages and social media identity and websites and funnel pages. I don't hire one designer to do everything. I hire one designer to do a specific type of design. And that has helped me exponentially. So we had a mismatch in tasks one month where we had a designer who wasn't strong in funnel design, and we had a designer who was good in funnel design, but he was getting social media identity work. And so when I asked them the question, what's going on, and what tasks, what design projects would you love to work on? And they told me, I just swapped roles. Okay. And then that was it. And now we create some really great designs, and they do optimum work now. So it's allocating your resources. It's knowing where to put the right people. You put the right people in the right places and the right things happen. So there's a lot of things there when it comes to scaling your business. And so I just want to make sure that you're getting this. And so that's basically what allowed me to scale. You know, and then being able to trust those folks, because if you don't trust them, they shouldn't be on your team. Okay. So you got to trust who you hire and hire who you trust. And that's going to make for a win-win situation, and you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy with the end results. Okay. So another question here from Jay Vaughn. What's the pros and cons of developing your personal brand to run alongside your business? Is it worth giving up your privacy? So I'll say this. I don't think it has anything to do with giving up privacy. Nobody wants to know, your bedroom secrets. Okay. That's not what giving up privacy or creating a personal brand is all about, or putting out, information that's not relevant, to your business. So giving up the privacy, I don't think has anything to do with it. And I wouldn't recommend that anyway as a strategy at all when developing your personal brand. See, at the end of the day, here's what people want. They want to be heard. They want to be known. They want to be seen. And they want you to feel them, not physically, but feel them, know where they're coming from, right? And so if you're building a personal brand, this is the 3 things or 4 things that you really need to pay attention to, because if you don't have those qualities, if you don't have that ability to do that, your personal brand and your business is not going to thrive. Okay. So here's the thing. People want to do business with people. Okay. And people want to know why you matter to them. That's it. How can you help them solve a problem? Nobody cares about anything else. So if you can put solutions in front of their problems, you're going to win. But if they don't like you, if they don't trust you, there's a disconnect. Okay. So we need to really understand when we're building our personal brands, it's just being a good human. And it's not something you do and then all of a sudden it's done. Building a personal brand is a lifelong investment. And that's what I don't think people get. People like to throw around the buzzword personal branding. It's a process and you just do it and it's over and then you move on to the next thing. No. Personal branding is alongside of personal development, professional development. I think a good definition of personal branding is the crossroads between how you see yourself and how other people see you. And so, but what are some of the elements that go into that, right? Well, I think it's professional development and I think it's personal development. So at the end of the day, people are going to buy you before they buy your product or service. So if you're not investing in you, if you're not learning how to become a better communicator, if you're not learning how to become a better listener, if you're not learning to become a better leader, right? Then none of this matters. So you have to make sure that you understand what personal branding is all about and how important it is. You wouldn't hire a stranger, would you? Maybe you would. But I'm 10 times more likely to hire somebody who I resonate with, who has showcased their expertise, somebody who has similar values and beliefs as me. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to building personal brand. And then I'm also paying attention to how they treat other people. Because the way they treat other people is the way they're going to treat you. And you're fooling yourself if you think that that's not true. See, people don't treat people differently. They don't. At the end of the day, the way they treat their sister, their mother, their father is how they're going to treat you at the end of the day. So pay attention to that, because you're going to see a lot of things come out of that interaction that you may or may not agree with. So I would strongly advise anybody, whether you run a business or you run a consulting practice, so whether you run a business with employees or you run a business that just revolves around you, really invest in becoming a better person all around. Because when you become a great person, you meet great people. And great people will help you. And so, simple stuff, guys. This is all common sense. I'm not telling you anything that's brain science here. But that's what happens when you invest in your personal brand. Well, people really start to resonate with you. So pay attention to that. All right. And then last question here. Let me get to my questions here. Okay. What personal and this is from Alejo Montoya X, or Alejo Montoya X. Sorry if I butchered that name. What personal and emotional skills do you have to manage a business? What emotional and personal skills do you have to manage a business? Well, I'll tell you, first and foremost, you got to have a hell of a lot of patience. If you don't have patience, guys, you're going to be up shit's creek. There's going to be things that go wrong. There are going to be things that are just going to go to hell in a handbasket. And you just got to take a deep breath, check your pulse, and say, I'm still alive, and get on with it. So patience is a true virtue, and I think it's something that all entrepreneurs need to have in order to succeed. I think you have to have a high risk tolerance, okay? I think owning a business is all about taking risk, and if you don't take enough risk, you'll never grow, right? If you take too much risk, then you might fail. And that's okay if you fail. Again, it's a learning experience. I don't believe it's a failure. So you got to take the good with the bad when things don't go right. But then you have to ask yourself, what did I learn here? And how did this happen? And you got to dig deep. I think self-awareness is another one that I would strongly recommend you start to connect with. You know you better than anybody knows you. Okay. And so if you're throwing things under the rug, thinking that they're going to go away one day, you're wrong. I put a lot of insecurities out there on social media, and I have no problem with that, because I know other people have the same insecurities, and they're going to resonate with those. And it's therapeutic for me, actually, to get that stuff out there. You know, I laugh and I tell people this all the time, but I don't have any more skeletons in the closet. You know, what you see is what you get. You know, and if there's anything that I've learned from my audience, it's they really like me for who I am and how transparent and authentic I am. And there's nothing out there that you're going to dig up on me, you know, that you're going to raise an eyebrow to. And I think that's what people want at the end of the day. They just want the real you to show up. So how authentic can you be? You know, I was at Advertising Week last year, and I swear if I had $1 for every time somebody said authenticity, you know, I'm talking about big CMOs, like the CMO of T-Mobile was speaking, and the CMO of Twitter was there, and the VP of sales of Google was there. And they all said the same thing. It was authenticity. So you have to have an authenticity about you that people know, like, and trust. And if you don't have that, if you're faking the funk, people are going to pick up on that. And they're going to see it as an insecurity. And it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. You know, I'll be the first to tell you, you know, I did a lot of things in the past to impress people. It got me nowhere. It got me laughed at, honestly. I would leave the room and I would get laughed at. And I would know it because people would tell me. And that's not a good feeling. You know, would you want to walk out of a room and people start to go, no, it's a terrible feeling. I think that's the one thing we all have in common. Nobody wants to be ridiculed. Nobody wants to feel put down. And so you won't have to feel any of that if you just come out and just be yourself. So these are some of the things that worked really, really well for me. And I think another two more things, and I'll let you go. One is expectations. You got to have expectations of yourself. You got to have expectations of your team. And I would put a fairly high bar on those expectations. I would stretch yourself and I would stretch your team here and there. You know, I give some tight deadlines sometimes to kind of help my team sort of get outside of their comfort zone a little bit. Because when they do that, it makes them grow as a person, right? I'm not gonna be mad at them if they don't finish the task. You know, nobody's gonna die if a project doesn't get done on time. But there'll be a learning lesson there if that's the case. And so I want them to really get an understanding of what that lesson is. So I'll do things like that. And then setting boundaries. You know, somebody asked me the other day, I won't go too far off tangent, but somebody asked me the other day, you know, how do you balance work and business, especially when you work out of your home? And I said, well, I set boundaries. You know, my wife knows from 9 to 5, I'm in the office. Right. And unless there's an emergency or my son's sick, or we have to pick him up from the school early or something like that, I'll make arrangement. Right. And my clients know this as well. So if I'm getting text messages 9, 10 o'clock at night from a client, that is really abnormal, because 99.9% of the time it doesn't happen because I've set that boundary up front. They know what to expect from me, right? And then the same thing with, you know, the other way around. You know, family time is family time. And I will not let business get in the way of that. And my clients know that, unless, again, it's an emergency. You know, my little guy was sick in the winter, like every week, right? And there was a couple times I had to cancel an appointment or a strategy call with a client that day. And that sucks because, you know, they have their schedules and they're revolving their schedules around mine and so on and so forth. But when I told them the situation, I didn't try to sugarcoat it. I didn't try to hide it. I was like, my son is sick. My wife needs my help. I have to reschedule this. And all of them, I had to reschedule like 4 calls that day. All of them said, do what you got to do, Henry. Family first. So that is how I should say that's my take on what you need to be as a person, the emotional skills and the personal skills to build a strong business. Without that strong interpersonal communication skill, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. So I'll let you go with this. You know, I heard this quote, and you know, I may get this tattooed on me. I don't know, but it was a quote from one of my mindset coaches. They said, "Truth is simple. The truth is simple. The ego is what makes things complicated." And I'll never, ever, ever forget that. The truth is simple. The ego is what makes things complicated. And that quote right there is going to help you in your personal life. It's going to help you in your professional life as well. So I hope you got some value out of this, guys. This one's going up on YouTube. So drop some comments below. Let me know what you think of this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, hit that subscribe button. I produce 3 videos a week, all brand new content to help you build a profitable and reputable personal brand, whether you're a coach, consultant, speaker, solopreneur of any sort. This is what this channel is for and who it's for. And I just, you know, hope you get some value out of it and, you know, continue to follow me on my entrepreneurial journey because I'm just getting started. It's been 12 years, but it feels like 12 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun. So have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video real soon. Take care.